Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kendrick Baylor, Life Doctor.
I'm Chance Johnson, the life excavator.
And I'm Jeffrey Hart, the life champion.
And today we have another great discussion for you, a great topic. And our topic today is, can TV couples be relationship goals? I say again, can TV couples be relationship goals? And so as we dissect this discussion and showcase different couples on television, leave us your comments, share with a couple of your friends, and join this wonderful dialogue.
All right. So I guess how we can start off is, well, what's one TV couple that come to mind that from the show you really enjoy watching?
For me, it was the Huxtables.
Okay. All right. Why?
Because I think they was like the model couple to me. At that time that I was watching it. They kind of had that, that relationship, that you strive to have. So, that was just always the one that that you would just look to. That's like the model of how you would want, your relationship to be.
Yeah. Okay. And for me, I don't know why my wife and kids came up, but I would look at Damon Wayne and Tisha Campbell characters, and how they incorporated fun and tried different strategies, to work with their kids. So for me, I'm gonna go with that one today. That's what comes up because it's still on TV, but I kind of like to have fun with my wife and kids in that way.
Yeah. And for me, I guess because it's one of my favorite TV shows, I'm gonna go a different word. I'm gonna go Dwayne Wayne and Whitley. Because I think that relationship, because it started in college. I think that was the reason why I enjoyed seeing them on camera. But you could see how they progressed from being students, kind of getting married, going through the more kind of career part of their life. And so you saw a lot of their transition. So I like that. And I relate with Dwayne Wayne a lot because, being black and being smart, you don't see that a lot. it's like, oh, he like me, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, okay, I can relate to it. So yeah.
And then, like I said, it's definitely a good take on how to showcase, the fun components of relationship, but it's also good, that we're gonna break down the components to healthy relationships as we are identifying, these couples today. And so, like I said, trying to put a fun spin where people can see practical examples of what we actually try to showcase and move people forward in everything we do.
All right. So do you want to start off with one in particular, one of the five?
All right, let's go with communication.
All right. So communication. All right. So I guess what couples come to mind when you think about communication or like having good communication?
So I'm gonna go back with Jeffrey first example, the Huxtables, the Cosby Show. I mean, because growing up in the '80s, the Cosby Show was kind of a great example of what a family looked like. Now it maybe wasn't as real as maybe our current environment was at the time because it had two successful, African Americans, one a doctor, one a lawyer, together raising, all of their kids, in middle class New York. And so but the one thing that I enjoyed about the show is they always, talked about the things that they experienced in their relationship. So whether it was positive or negative, and they had an interesting dynamic in how they address things. So you didn't see a lot of arguing or throwing things or fighting, you saw playful gestures, to talk about serious things, but also they use really good examples to address, their concerns in their relationship. And they did it, with their children as well. So they had standards or they had guidelines for their relationship, and they used those standards to hold themselves accountable.
I guess Jeffrey waiting on me, huh?
It looked like he is.
Oh, well, now because I was gonna go with the same couple, so Kenny kind of he wrapped it all up, man. So yeah, so Tigo.
Yeah. That's why I got your couple on communication. So
all right, so I go to another one of my favorite shows, another one of my current favorite shows. This Is Us, and that'll be Randall and Beth. So I think communication, they got real good communication, because on this show they tackled a lot of different issues, and not only just their own personal issues or like Randall going to therapy, stuff that happened in Beth's life. So a lot of different things, but I like that they communicate about being black too. So that's another thing in the show, is like what's going on in the world, and then how does that affect the family. And I think they use communication well in that, to where they talk about how they feel about the stuff that's going on in the world in their relationship, and how it affects their relationship too. So I think that's a cool angle. And like I said, you don't see that a lot on TV shows just because of the format of some shows. But with theirs, they really get into the stuff that you feeling and thinking about. They kind of bring into their conversations. You get to see like both their perspectives on. So I think that's cool.
no, that's good. I like that you added, the components about the reality of what their experiences were. When people not in a good place, they talk about the importance of going to therapy, and so everything is not rose petals and happiness. It talk that This Is Us kind of dissects the realness of what people go through in relationships and the impact of their, other relationships, how they, come into play in their current life situation. So, no, that's good. So, like I said, if you're just joining us, put up our title today. Can TV couples be relationship goals? And so what we're saying is, so we talking about the fun parts of it, we talking about the realness of it, but we also want you to, identify that there are positive things that you do see on television. There are positive things that you may want in your relationship, or you may want to, establish in your relationship when you get one. And so by seeing what it looks like, what you're going for, and you're trying to, get that feeling in regards to communication when you're establishing the guidelines, because communication is in everything we do. And so what better way to identify by seeing, therefore we can secure it and find it in our environments.
So kind of, one, I guess, quick question, man, is how do you strengthen your communication?
Well, since Kendrick popped off, I know he'll probably have a take on it. So I guess one of the things is clarifying the perspective, because a lot of what miscommunication is not having the correct perspective on things. Meaning you coming from an angle, and then the other person coming from an angle, and I don't understand yours and you don't understand mine. But if I can understand your perspective, I can communicate better, because now I understand what you're saying to me, where it's coming from. And a lot of times, especially in times where there might be disagreement, we don't understand what they're talking about, where it's coming from. And it has a lot, sometimes doesn't have anything to do particularly with the person. It has things to do with other things. And if we're not aware of those things, then it's easy to then take more offense of what people say, because you don't know what comes behind the words. instead of just taking the word at face value. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's good.
I thought you had something else. I was just filling in while you was off screen.
Oh, okay.
I didn't fill in. I just substituted for.
Hey, yeah, I had to jump off real quick, but no, like I said, I've just basically just hit that. Like I said, we trying to use different fun examples today to drive home the point, because if you can visualize something in your mind, and then you can see it in reality, that allows you to see what you want, and now you just have to make a tangible plan to get it. So communication is important in everything we do, but it's especially important in the relationships or entanglements or situationships that you get in life.
I don't want the entanglement. We want to rebuke them.
But some people want those type of things, and as long as they got good communication and whatever ship thing that you have, then if it works for both parties, it works for both parties.
Yeah, and entanglements get songs made for folks. We'll be singing about people after entanglement.
Yeah. So hopefully Mel will join us later, and she'll add some more dialogue to what we're talking about. So we'll see.
All right. So which one do you want to go into next?
Let's go with humor.
Okay. All right. So what TV couple kind of represents that for you?
I'm gonna let Jeffrey go first this time.
I guess I would say Martin and Gina.
Yeah.
Because excuse me.
Uh-oh.
For one thing, I mean, Martin is, he crazy anyway. So,
right.
It really doesn't matter what he's on, hey, that's gonna be funny. But it was just kind of how they, how they interacted with each other. It was always, jokes or, whatever. So yeah, I think, that's a healthy thing to have from time to time. You gotta be able to joke a little bit. It can't, can't be too serious all the time.
Yeah. All right. Is it me or
I'll go and then go. No, but I like Jeffrey's example of Martin and Gina. I think Martin and Gina showed us the importance of having fun and having a healthy support system as far as friends around us. And so relationships should be fun. Relationships can be fun, but we have to, both parties involved have to incorporate what's fun to them in order to get it. Because fun is different based off who you're talking to. Some people might think zip lining is fun. Some people might think going to a museum is fun. Some people may think swimming with the dolphins is fun. Some people may think being on a deserted island is fun. So we just have to figure out what fun is and then connect to it.
Yeah. So my example is Bo and Drake from Blackish. I think they incorporate a whole lot of humor in their relationship, but they got different ways of expressing it. But I think they dynamic is real cool. So I think they definitely a TV couple that incorporate humor into their relationship.
Okay. Oh no, yeah, Blackish was another good example. So yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that's one of my. I don't have too many TV shows I like to watch, but most of the ones I'm talking about, these are my shows, like Blackish and This Is Us, like these shows that I watch a lot. So, all right.
No, that's good.
So, where you want to go to the next one, or how you want to do
it? Let's finish dissecting what humor can. So, what layers do you think humor can add to a relationship? What benefits does it bring?
Well, okay, go ahead.
Well, now I was just gonna say one thing. I mean, it's the laughter that you have, because what's the saying? Laughter is good for the soul.
Mm-hmm.
So So you gotta find that place, or find the things that that you can do to laugh together. Um, 'cause it's nothing like a good laugh and how you feel afterwards. Especially when you get one of those good side hurting laughs. Oh, man, it, not many better feelings in the world. So
Yeah.
Yeah. But and then I go back to the Huxtables. The Huxtables brought a lot of humor into their relationship, as well as education, because they always was impersonating other people, and they incorporated singing, they incorporated competition into their relationship. But like I said, they made it fun, and it's okay to be competitive in your relationship if it supports the overall vision and story for how they want their lives to play out. But really, it just reinforces the importance of people setting the guidelines to what humor will look like in a relationship, and not so much deeming something they see on television is doctrine, but seeing it as a guide, and we can pull from all these different couples and incorporate into ours.
Yeah. And what I thought about first, what the word that came to me first was vulnerability. So if I can really show my silly side and really go all the way, then I'm being vulnerable with you, because everybody doesn't get to see that side.
Yeah.
And that kind of helps to build some. Oh, here go Mel here. She coming on. So they help.
Might jump on today.
Lord have
Chris
mercy.
from the jump on.
Lord have mercy. All right, so I guess we put there what we've been talking about.
Yes, let's go and recap.
All right, let me put the title back up. Man,
so
what you got going on? I hear a lot of stuff in the background.
I'm driving.
You ain't
Is radio on?
Yeah, you got the radio on? What you got going on?
No, what you hear?
She probably got a Bluetooth on.
Oh.
I do. What y'all hear?
A little feet, you probably want to cut it down a little bit. But if you just joining us, TV couples be relationship goals is our topic. And we're going through the 5 components of healthy relationships. And so we've already hit communication and humor. And so what we've been doing, Mel, is we've been showcasing we've been talking about the TV couples that identified or personified those qualities in regards to healthy communication and humor in relationships. So if you got a couple that showcases humor, throw it out there. If it's one we already talked about, we'll let you know.
Who y'all talk about? Gina and Martin. I know y'all mentioned them.
Yeah, we talked about Gina and Martin. We talked about the Huxtables, and we talked about Blackish couple.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about them.
We're gonna come back to that.
All right. Well, bring up the next point, T, because Mel ain't got nothing on the humor. Bring up the next point.
Like, me and anybody I'm with, I'm humorous. I'm relationship goals when it comes to humor.
Yeah, whatever, man.
So you saying you relate? You flipping? You doing too much. You doing too much. All right. Which one you want to do? Which one you want to do next?
All right, let's go with fair fighting. This Mel right here. Let's go with fair fight. So, which couple showcases good examples of fair fighting or conflict resolution in relationships on TV?
I was about to say the Huxtables, but I don't think Claire. I don't know if she fought fair. Cause let the record show, as she would say. I don't know if they consider fair fighting, but that's how I fight. Let the record show.
Do you think Claire hit below the belt?
I don't think so.
No, I think he was petty.
Okay. And so fair fighting is all about, once you establish guidelines in your relationship, when you get in disagreements, you fight fair. So you don't go with low blows, things that you that automatically upsets the other party, or things that or may come from a hurtful place from the other person, you don't go to those places. So I don't know if petty is not hurtful, then I don't know. If petty is not hurtful, then it may be okay. But if it's hurtful, then it may not be okay.
I don't think she.
No, I don't think she was hurtful, but she, she would, like I said, her saying was let the record show, and then she would bring up whatever he said, huh?
I said, so she was all by evidence.
Yeah, that's how I fight too. I'd be like, because remember in 1995. Hold on, let me pull up the text. I'm sure.
Okay, so I get what you're saying now. So sometimes when you present evidence, it can go at a tit for tat. You can match what the other person says, which only prolongs the argument. So I understand what you're saying. So in those ways, it may not be helpful. So if you always got to show evidence of what that person did, then that person can think, well, you think you always right.
But I am.
Yeah, no. You can't do that. You can't do that in relationships. You're not always right.
I am.
My.
You have to show you a mirror today, Mel. No one is right 100% of the time. No one
except
is
me.
right. No one is right 100% of the time. So in relationships, if you live in your entanglement situationships or
entanglement now,
if you live in them through the lenses of I'm always right, this is a reality check. You're not. And I have to take my own information because my wife thinks because of the profession that I'm in, I think that I'm always right. I don't think that I'm always right. And so sometimes presenting evidence can get you in more trouble than it can as far as helping the nature of resolving conflict.
So if I have evidence to prove what I'm trying to say, does that mean I'm always right?
But is the evidence based on your ego, or is the evidence based to help y'all move forward?
It doesn't matter what it's based on. What I'm saying is if I got evidence, does it not mean I'm right?
Listen to this. If you're using the evidence to feed your ego versus using the evidence to move y'all forward, the intent determines everything. Because if you're doing it for ego basis, it's going to prolong the argument or discussion. If you're doing it to move y'all forward, to gain cohesion, then that's better.
So you should just say you're right, and then we can move on.
So Mel, is it all about being right?
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna need you to redefine fair fighting, because fair fighting is not all about being right.
Oh.
Sometimes we have to be humble in relationships, and that don't mean toot my horn and say I'm right. So maybe fair fighting needs more humility on your part in relationships.
Okay. I duly noted. Okay. Got it.
Mel hit that church. That was good. That was good for that, Kendra. That was good for that.
What you got, Jeffrey?
No, y'all sitting there talking. I was just sitting there thinking about like one of the greatest pieces of advice that I got before I got married. Yeah. And the saying was, you can either be right or you can be happy. You got to determine which one is more important to you.
That's a perfect example of what Mel and I was talking about.
Exactly. So you can either be right or you can be happy.
Right.
Which one is? If being right, if being right is more important to you, then more power to you. But it can be different things with different people.
I got it. Be humble. I got it. Okay.
That's a T-shirt. You can be right or you can be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Jeffrey, 22-2. You can be right.
So I'm supposed. Okay. So if I get though, never mind. I was about to say. So I'm supposed to No, so what I was about to say is, so I'm supposed to co-sign you being wrong so we can be happy? Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
That's not what he's saying. It's saying go back to the intent, and you got to use your better judgment. Sometimes it's okay to be right, but if right is your dominant posture, then it's not okay to be right all the time. So I tell you what I mean by that, because your intent of being right is an egotistical, it's based on ego, that I know more than you, so you need to follow me, versus, you know, the humility of being right. Well, I know that I'm right, but I ain't gotta push it in his face this time. We can just do it this way.
Okay.
Because remember, if you're always right, then you the expert in your relationship, and nobody is the expert in their relationship, because it's a joint collaboration that you do together. I repeat that. Nobody is the expert in their current relationship or past relationship, because it's a joint process that we go through together. So if both of us are experts on the relationship, that means we don't have any problems.
That's a word there.
I'm about to log out. Why am I doing this? I don't. I'm always right, okay? Okay, I got it though. Duly noted.
You gonna have to sleep on that one, Mel. We gonna move on. We gonna have to let Mel sleep on that one. She is saying the other one with being right in relationships.
Yeah, so, she about to turn off her AC in the car.
Hey, Mel new story is when being right is your battle in relationships. Part 1. How to overcome the ego.
Woo! Being right chronicles.
Yeah. Chronicles of the Youth, being right.
It is. That's a book right there.
That's it.
Right. What's our next point? This next one gonna cut. This next one gonna cut pretty deep. We're gonna go with trust.
All right.
So what TV couples or relationships, you know, showcase what you thought were good examples of trust? It's probably one of the harder ones.
Because it got to be an older show. Yeah, cause that's what I'm trying to think about. It got to be one of them older ones.
Possibly, could be something, you know, current.
I mean, it could, but
go back with your example of This Is Us. I
mean, I know they got trust. They got a lot of trust in each other. Randall and Beth do. But they
kind of elaborate on that a little bit, man.
What?
So trust. So T, I think T hit on a piece of trust earlier, and you hit. So T talked about vulnerabilities. So trust has everything to do with being okay with being vulnerable, because as you're okay with being vulnerable, you gain more insight and awareness about your partner or your spouse, because you're not afraid to be real and honest. So you don't hide the insecurities or things you think you're deficient in. And that's how you build trust. And then trust is based on experience. You know, there's no such thing as 100% trust. Trust is based off what we know. Like, if, for instance, I'll give y'all an example, because me and Tara were going through it this weekend, putting these pictures up in our living room. So Tara was talking to me. She was getting on my case about putting the mirrors up in the living room, 3 mirrors. I was like, okay, Tara, I hate hanging mirrors because you gotta do so much measuring, and all the mirrors are a particular length. So I'm like, well, if we do this, we gotta do this together, and it take a whole lot. So I was measuring the wall. The wall was 175 inches, and we had 3 mirrors. We had to space them so much, apart. And the mirror was about 60 inches long, and we had to measure about 50 to 40 inches off the floor. I was like, it's a lot of, work that goes into this. I need your help, make sure it's done efficiently. And she just wanted it done, and I was like, well, if you're gonna do it, let's do it right. I know me that's not a job that I could do solely by myself and get it 100% right without her help. And she just wanted it done. So what I was telling her, if you're gonna trust me to do this by myself, it ain't gonna be right. But if you're gonna help me measure and you're gonna help me mark everything off, we can get it together. So trusting one person to do something efficiently or right when you know that you may need some help is what we had to, gather ourselves with. And it turned out great. We had to call in some reinforcement with Robbie, but we got it done. Because my wife wasn't trustworthy enough to mark off the right spots without getting a substitute. So we were failing as a team on trust, but we didn't trust each other to do our equal parts. But luckily, we had an ace up our sleeve and called on some help and got it done.
So trust-wise, do you go in giving 100% trust, or should trust be earned?
Trust is earned and built, because if you give something 100% before you know what you're getting into, then you may get a raw deal. So that's why over time, as more you put more sweat equity or work into your relationship, trust continues to build. And remember, it comes from being vulnerable, it comes from being transparent, it comes from being honest about your areas of strength and areas that you need to grow in. But it's not over estimating your abilities, and it's being okay with eliciting help from someone.
That's good.
So if we go with a couple on TV that did all of that,
well,
I'm gonna go with the Winslows.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's what I was thinking.
I can see that.
No, because when Carl used to do, because just using your example, when Carl used to do those home projects and stuff, she didn't trust him. Harriet didn't trust him.
Yeah, the kids ain't trust him neither. They knew who's coming.
The same thing with Bill Cosby. You remember the doorbell when he did the doorbell?
That's why I said it's never gonna be 100%. It's gonna be, kind of which one showcased it, mostly for me.
Okay, but I think that's a different. I think the reason why the reaction was that way because just like what Kendrick said, that was an ego thing with both of them. They were like, because man, I wanted to make sure that I could do that. I don't want nobody else to come in my house to do this. I'm gonna do it. And then they're like, but you can't do it. But they're like, no, this is my house. I'm gonna do it. So I think that's what it was. It wasn't like they didn't trust them. They just knew they couldn't do that.
They knew they didn't have the ability. And see, me going in, I knew I didn't have 100% ability to do it solely myself. So I needed that, variation. In that spot, you got to be efficient. So yeah, that's another example of why trust isn't, all or none, but it's also based on experience because we know where we need growth in. And our spouses or in relationships, we should feel empowered to talk to our spouses or companions about it. And then on the person that's receiving the information, we should welcome, that information instead of getting upset about it.
So, quick question. So, to know the areas that you need to grow in, the areas that your partner don't trust you in should let you know that those are the areas that you need to grow in. Basically, is what you say.
Oh.
Say it again, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
I'm kind of going off what you were saying. So I guess one thing I thought about, the areas that your partner doesn't trust you in should let you know that's the areas that you need to grow the most in.
Yeah, that could definitely be some good information, because like I said, you hadn't earned, or you hadn't showcased your abilities to show that you can handle, or you've grown in those areas. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But then, so going off what you just said too, I guess that could be, if you're not aware of those things until they say something, then that might not be something that you even know, or until it's addressed. And then that's when you put the area of growth, because until that point, you just, doing your own thing. You weren't doing it in partnership with somebody else. So it was right to you, but it might not be right when both of y'all are together.
Yeah. So no, that's good. So if y'all just joining us, please share this discussion, with 5 of your friends. Can TV couples be relationship goals? And so we've been going through identifying couples that embody the 5 components of healthy relationships. So we've talked about couples for communication. We talked about humor. We talked about fair fighting, and we just currently on trust. And so we want to take pieces of what we see on TV, but we gotta, come together and develop the guidelines to our relationship and how we want to go about operating and governing everything. And I know governing is a strong word, but basically you set the parameters for your relationship.
Okay. You ready to go to the next one, or?
And yeah, you can go to it.
All right.
And the final one is intimacy. The final component to a healthy relationship is intimacy. Now, intimacy has 2 parts. You got emotional and physical. Emotional is more important, or just as important, as the physical component of intimacy, because as the emotional connection increases or intensifies, so the physical components of your relationship too. And so what couples on television showcase, that they had, healthy intimacy in regards to the emotional and physical dynamics of their relationship.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So this was one that I thought about a little earlier, but I think it could fit for this one too. So I'm gonna take y'all back with this one. With Will and Nia Long on Fresh Prince, their relationship was a real strong relationship. And I think it had both of those components, where it had the emotional part and the physical part. And I think because of them coming together, it strengthened them in different areas, because Will came from a particular background, and then she came from a particular background too. But they were all about their relationship, and they didn't care who didn't like it, whatever was going on. Like, they were about their relationship. And I think that was something, early on, just seeing somebody that was young, because they got married young, but them being so involved in their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they were a good couple to kind of fit that one.
All right. And so I like that one, and then I'm gonna go back to My Wife and Kids with Damon Wayans and Tisha Campbell, because they made efforts to keep the intimacy going in their marriage. They had to talk about the challenges, but they also, tried to do things to splice up the physical or romantic part of their relationship. And I think if you, talking with your companion or significant other in relationships, and you trust them and you're connected to them, and you have a relationship versus a real ritualistic endeavor, I think the intimacy intensifies over time. Now, this is one of the areas that you got to constant work on because, as people get used to one another, they got to always continue to do stuff together or try new things together too. What you got, Mel?
What y'all say?
We talking about entities, emotional and physical. I talked about.
I don't know. I was trying to think of a couple while you guys were talking about it, but I mean, y'all name that was a good one. The Will and the what's it called? Fresh Prince. I don't know. You know what though? I keep going back to the Huxtables because to me, their relationship was the foundation for a lot of the things that we're discussing. I mean, they did things without the kids. They involved the kids, and they still were able to, have their own intimacy, even though they were involved in their family. I think the Huxtables fit most of the stuff that we're talking about.
Yeah. You know what? I was gonna say that at the end, how they wrapped everything into one.
Yeah.
I don't know. They were just like the complete package.
Yeah.
So.
But I think with intimacy, I think you can do Uncle Phil and Unveiled too, because I think that would fit that because they did have a good level. The original Unveiled, not the second.
There you go.
The original.
We're talking about the other one now. We're talking about the original, the first one.
We gotta incorporate both of them. We can't.
Yeah. But I think they had a good level of intimacy. Especially from how they enjoy being around each other, just being in each other's presence and stuff. And so even though they had money, you could tell their relationship just wasn't based on the money for them.
Yeah.
It was just because they went through a journey together. And it just where they ended up, but it wasn't about all that for them.
Yeah. So I'm gonna take y'all back to the Huxtables, the Cosby Show, but I'm gonna showcase Cliff and Claire parents. So both of them,
that's good.
Both of them came from good, and I don't want to use the word the wrong way, but they came from a good pedigree of parents. What I mean by that is that they came from 2-parent homes when most people don't come from 2-parent homes, and they parents had it seemed like they had the 5 components of healthy relationships with communication, humor, fair fighting, trust, and intimacy, and that kind of spilled over into their kids, and that's kind of how they operated. And so having good examples, but knowing that you still got to define your relationship based off your current partner is important, because like I said, we talked about this in the past. We're going to see positive and negative things in our parents, but we also need to understand that our relationships are ours, and so how we manage them and how we interact has to work for us.
Because I was thinking, like you mentioned how they came from good pedigree of parents, whatever. And I guess so. What advice can you give like those people that didn't come from households who exhibited all of that, and the uphill battle that you kind of face of trying to exhibit all of that without actually growing up seeing it.
One of the things I would say is you got to know what was positive and negative about what you saw. So you got to be aware. So you got to be aware of the good and the bad, because the good is the things that you keep. The negative things are the things that you need to grow on in your relationship because of the information you took in. So you got to be aware, and then you got to make changes in things by being open to receiving feedback. And you got to be honest about the things that you may not feel confident or comfortable about. But and then I think having a dialogue or a discussion about trust and what trust means opens up a lot of those doors for couples to develop content for one another, but also to be transparent with one another of what they learn about relationships growing up. So I think everybody need to have the what I learned about relationship talk, to so you can bring what you learned into your relationship, and so you can learn what you need to eradicate out of your relationships at the initial stages, because what you ingested over the course of the 18 years in your life from parents, you have to learn how to digest it and process it and get rid of it too out of your life. And then that's going to improve your posture, because you're not going to be infested with all of that extra fluff.
So I guess to add to what Jeffrey asked, well, I guess there's another question. So if you didn't come from that you didn't have that initial view of a total relationship or a good relationship, then would it be good to find people in your environment that are couples that showcase the things that you would like?
Hey, you and somebody that just commented thinking the same way. So y'all reading each other's mind. Yeah. I don't know who posted this, but joining a small group of married folks definitely helps. It's like group counseling. You gotta be humble enough to admit that the way you grew up or what your parents taught you may not be right. But the other thing that I was gonna add to what you were saying, Terrence, is I myself, I didn't grow up in a 2-parent household. I grew up in a single parent household. And my mom never married. And so I had to be aware and honest when I was bringing, the good things from them in my relationship, but also when I was bringing the negative things. And, I had to be able over the course of my life to learn how to manage that where it doesn't interfere with the growth of being married or being in a relationship. So whoever said that was a good point. What y'all got? I'm trying to see who said it. I'll tell y'all in a second.
Yeah, you had to go in the group to see it. I'm trying to just see. It's been a good conversation. I think it's just we kind of brought up some points and talked about some stuff that I don't think we thought about before we started talking.
Yeah. Hey, as usual, Vic, the on point.
Oh, yeah, that explained it.
But you know what? I think it's important that, just like social media, people only give you kind of like a surface. If you're in I guess, an honest group of couples who tell you the bad, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Right.
Different thing. But, for the most part, as a society, we kind of just show the world the good part. We don't show them the struggle to how we got to the good part. So, it's important to have a group, but it's also important to be in a group that's going to be telling you, okay, this happened and this is how we got through it, as opposed to, oh, I love him so much.
Yeah. Well, if you hang around Kendrick and Tara, we're going to give you honesty. Sometimes we give you too much.
Yeah, they will. Yeah, they will. Yeah, they will.
Hey, we do keep it real.
100 all the time.
When one of us frustrate the other one, we gonna tell the truth. Yeah, and so, but I think that's the transparent part of being in a relationship. It ain't always rainbows and flowery blossoms. Sometimes you gotta handle the thick stuff, and be comfortable talking about this thick stuff. And so I'm okay with talking about it because I talk for a living, and I can't be a hypocrite and tell people that I don't go through real things, because if I didn't go through real things, how could I help other people move or navigate through their realness?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have my stuff all together. I'm still a body of work, and I'm okay with it. But I'm putting one foot in front of the other one every day. And so in relationships, we got to put one foot in front of the other one. And like I said, there was the whole rationale for writing A Journey to Healthy Relationships is to let people know that they don't have to have it all together, but you can have it together by, coming together and working on self and each other to be progressive. And so something so simple really can be life-changing.
So shameless plug, y'all. If y'all don't have a journal already, you should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you should.
All of this stuff you get in live, you get in the journal. You're welcome.
That's right. That's right. Right.
One day it'll go platinum.
What's that go right now? What's that go?
Hey, one day it'll go platinum when enough people start believing that they are the key to making their relationships great, not an expert. So I'm gonna hit this plug one more time. It'll go platinum one day when people realize they are the key to making their relationships great, not an expert.
The link for the book journal is in the group.
Yeah. Experts just pontificate, but
pontificate, announce them words, do that.
But real relationships are built in the trenches, and it's because people put their own selfish needs aside to get the greater.
Oh, that doctorate degree came on out.
You heard them now. You heard.
You got the did on y'all up in here.
Look, that's how I used to do it in the master's program. That's how I used to be in class. He used to talk Yeah, he talk like that in class.
Yeah, we need to stop, man.
Yeah, he used to do it. I was there. I used to be there.
Like I said, the stuff, things are coming soon. We working, and like I said, we want to get to that point with a podcast, and we're gonna try something.
We're gonna get to the point. We're gonna
get to the point, but we're gonna give you a glimpse of what it's gonna look like in a few weeks. We're gonna bring on 2 female therapists along with myself, and Jeffrey and Terrence gonna be behind the scenes producing the show, and we're gonna give them a real live glimpse of what it's like when you get a glimpse of life as therapy, and you take a drink of what it is to mean to be progressive and elevate your platform.
Take a drink. Did you just hear what he's saying now? He talking good today.
So if you didn't learn anything else from us today, remember, TV couples can influence how you view relationships, and there are a lot of positive things that you can take from that. So don't be afraid to visualize what you want in regards to a relationship, but also see a tangible example on TV. There's thousands of shows that show you what's healthy, and what's toxic. So you got to filter out the toxic.
Love and hip hop
through life filtration system, like Terrence talked about. Life filtration system allows you to filter out the toxic ones and hone in on the good ones. So it was pretty good today. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Look, this is so. If you enjoyed this, you will be able to see and experience more things like this when we do our life labs. So this is kind of what the format will be for that. And Kendrick will be doing some, I'll be doing some, and coming Monday will be a live life excavation.
Excavation coming towards you.
Yeah, so we would do that. Somebody said they like love and hip hop.
You might like it, but it's not an example for a healthy relationship. That's so much
toxicity. Hold on, let me see who that was.
Look, that ain't in my spirit. Love and hip hop.
Hey, that's Big again. Big say I like love and hip hop.
Okay.
Hey, Tara like it too, but I have to tell her, hey, what I be telling her all the time, what you ingest is sometimes what you manifest.
Say it again. That's rich there now. Say that again now.
I tell her all the time, what you ingest is sometimes what you manifest. We can't feed ourselves too much trash. We gotta filter some of it out. It's okay to get it in small doses.
Mm-hmm.
But if you got 8 hours of that a week, that ain't a small dose.
You gonna get in trouble when you get off the phone. I mean, live.
Yeah, you know I'm honest about this.
Oh, well, look, I get look. Go on, wrap it up, Kenny. Go on, close us out.
Well, like I said, today, if you enjoyed this message or this, dialogue, please share it with 5 people. Help spread it on a national level, and remember, you set the parameters for what you want your relationship to be like, and you have to remove the ego and the selfish parts of self in order to establish the foundational principles of your relationship. So don't be afraid to stand on a solid foundation. There's enough quicksand out there for other people. Build yours on some solid foundation.
Okay.
You on fire today now.
You coming through today.
You on fire today now.
This piece right here.
Shut up, man. Well, let me get up off here, man. And we sign off. We will see y'all on Monday with another with an excavation session. We'll let y'all know the name on Sunday, maybe Monday. All right, our progress. We signing off. Keep moving forward.
Y'all be blessed.